Really good. He leaves the game 6 2/3, and at the time he had given up 1 run and pitched a really good game. And you look at the hit that kind of set up that inning. Takes a funny, spun and takes a funny hop away from Castro. But I thought he pitched a really good game.
He's had hits like that affect him throughout the course of the season. It seems like a lot. If you're a guy on the mound where that continually happens, how do you continue to stick with your same approach?
Well, I think CC's very strong-minded when it comes to that, where he doesn't let things bother him. So, he's been through a lot in his career and understands that you got to turn the page, and he's really good at that.
Looking at the way that inning unfolded, how detrimental was the walk then?
Yeah, I think that's what probably hurt him the most because he had done a really good job. He walked to lefty Kim, and he had gotten him out and pretty easily the first 2 times. And that was the big hitter of the game.
Who else? In the back here.
Joe, it was another good performance by Torreyes today in the field and at the plate. Have you been impressed with how he's been able to make the most of this opportunity?
Yeah, I have been. He's played really, really well in a situation where he hadn't been playing a lot, and he has made the most of it. He swung the bat extremely well. He's played really, really good defense, it's not easy to do what he's been doing, especially when you haven't had consistent at-bats all year.
Anthony?
Joe, the play where Sanchez got thrown out trying to get to third base, how do you evaluate what happened on that play? Was Joe waving him over? I know the base was open too.
Well, I always say that mind has to be made up by the base runner. It's not Joe's. I think he was reading the third baseman, and he took a gamble that he wasn't going to get back there. It took a really good throw and a really good play by Machado, so I don't have a problem with it. It's an aggressive play. We've been playing aggressive. That time it caught up to us, but I think the thought process was pretty good because of the shift and what it took to get him.
Right here.
Can I ask, how does it feel like to be without these retired stars like Jeter and A-Rod? And what is your rebuilding plan for?
Yeah, well, it's never easy to say goodbye to stars that you've had on your team that have meant a lot to you and been great players for a long, long time. When you start talking about who's going to replace them, we've brought some kids up that have done a good job. I think how Didi's matured over time. Alex was a DH the last couple of years, and we've kind of moved that around, but it's hard to say goodbye because some of these guys I played with, I think we're running out of those. It's hard to say goodbye.
Who else? Brendan?
Joe, obviously no home runs today, but what did you think of Sanchez's at-bats?
Pretty good at-bats. Again, he looks foolish on a couple sliders, makes an adjustment on Hunter, and hits a double. Like I said, I think this kid has instincts, and he makes adjustments fairly quickly. So I thought his at-bats were pretty good today. You look at his bat the first inning, hits a rocket to the center field, ends up with 2 hits. Pretty good again.
Brendan?
You win 2 out of 3 against Baltimore, but does not winning today and not getting to 1.5 games behind them in the wild card sting in any way?
Well, it's not what you want, but we're playing good baseball and we're winning series, and that's what we need to continue to do. If someone says you're going to win a series against Baltimore, I think you're going to be pretty positive. But when you win the first 2, sometimes guys can get down a little bit. I'm not down. I thought we played very well this weekend, and we need to continue to do that. And if we do that, I'll take our chances.
Also, Aaron's strikeout struggles in the minors are well noted, but going through it up here, what do you see from him at the plate?
Oh, it's part of it. It's part of the maturing process. He had a hard line drive. He made an adjustment. And as I've said with Aaron, it's a big strike zone that he has to cover. And he doesn't know how pitchers are going to approach him. So I believe he's going to make the adjustments. We might see some strikeouts, but I think he's going to make the adjustments and be very productive.
Joel and Danny.
Joe, whether you make it into the playoffs or not, do you think this is all going to be valuable for some of the young players, that you're not just kind of counting the days to the end of the season, that the games have meaning every day?
Definitely. I think when the games have meaning every day, when you're playing in your division, when you're playing other teams that are fighting for the playoffs, I mean, we've been doing that for a while, and it's going to continue the whole way throughout. I think it's very valuable because there are games that, in a sense, have pressure. It's not a game where you can just say, oh, it's another game. It's not that way. So I think the meaning of the games, you get a better evaluation of players, and I think that's important.
On the play you talked about the way it went. You went out there. Were you thinking maybe the runner had interfered?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't necessarily know if he did or not. For Castro, he's probably better off if he runs into him on purpose, in a sense. But you can't predict that you're going to get a spin like that. I mean, that's what you can't predict. So I just thought I would check.